You
get
are
this a lot.
Matthew McConaughey jumping off the tower with the axe to kill the dragon.
Yes.
Right? In Rain of Fire, just yes.
It's the one moment. It's like, this is it.
All right, let's get into Disney. But why don't you give us some background on kind of what's going on with this that will help kind of frame the discussion?
Sure. And obviously, like I said, I've been producing pretty much nonstop content on this for the last week. So obviously you can check out my channel for that. And to be very clear right now, we actually have two active cases. We have a state case in the 9th Judicial Circuit of Florida. That's the circuit for Central Florida, which is where I used to practice. And I'm very familiar with this judge. And there's also a case in the Northern District of Florida. That's a federal case, right? So all of this goes back to when, back in the day, Walt Disney wanted to build a city. So Walt always had this dream. He was kind of one of those urban planner types. Florida was really undeveloped. We had a couple of manatees and a crocodile, alligator too, and a skunk ape. We really didn't have anything out there. And he wanted to build a city. So he went to the state and said, look, we're going to build this theme park. But really what we want to do is build a city because there's nothing here. And that's going to bring people to Florida. That's going to really build this. And we don't want it to be any city. We want it to be the experimental prototype community of tomorrow.
City of tomorrow, baby.
The city of tomorrow. We want it to have a nuclear reactor at its core, surrounded by urban sprawl, with monorails running outside. You can see the model of this, by the way, when you take the tram. It's like within Future World, and it kind of gives you the overhead tour. You go and see the planned city, what it was supposed to be. And the housing on the outside, parks on the outside, very well urban planned. So they gave him permission. They said, hey, we're going to let you do this. We're going to give you permission to build that nuclear reactor. I'm not kidding. They had that authority. We're going to give no zoning regulations. You guys set your own zoning, own building codes, fire codes. You can set your own taxes. In fact, you can increase taxes on yourself 3 times what's legal in the state of Florida. So you can go crazy with taxing yourself if you want to. You can do whatever you want.
And then Walt said, but can we keep the Jews out?
That's for Rumble. Anyways, they had express powers to do a lot of things. Well, fast forward, they made some political comments. This is very true, right?
Yep.
But also for a long time, I will say Reedy Creek was on the chopping block. I used to represent Universal Studios, and I can now say this publicly because it doesn't really matter anymore. Back in the day, we approached the state saying, we're Universal. We want something just like Disney. It's inequitable that they have this special district where they can govern themselves, and we have to go to these goddamn communists in Orange County and try to get everything approved. And they obviously are extracting all this money, all this time, all this, they're slow as hell. We can't get anything done. Look at Disney. They get everything done because they get to approve their own shit.
Yep.
And the state said, absolutely not. That was a horrible mistake. We should have never done it. And even then, they were considering undoing it. Even then, this is years ago, 5 years ago, they were considering undoing Reedy Creek. It was just a matter of time until they came through. They made the statements regarding the political rights and education bill, right? And this was re-examined. And the Reedy Creek district was dissolved. But the way it worked was there was a year for them to wind down and dissolve and also come to a settlement. And everyone was screaming and yelling. They're like, they've got $1 billion in bonds, and that's going to be the general obligation of the state of Florida or of Orange County, and all the taxes are going to go up. It's going to be crazy. And I was like, dude, chill. That's not how Florida law works. It would have to go on Disney. All this would be paid back by Disney.
Yep.
And they'll probably create a new district. And guess what happened? They created a new district. The only difference is they took away some of the crazy powers, like the nuclear power plant crap, right? They made them subject to modern law because there's decades of law they missed out on, including a lot of our transparency laws they've skipped out on. So they made them subject to all that new law, subject to everything that's passed in the last 60 years. And instead of appointed by Disney, now the board is appointed by the state, which, by the way, is very true for many other districts in the state of Florida. And to be clear, I used to represent all of the districts, almost all of them, that were surrounding Disney. So Celebration, many people have heard of that. Reunion, Bonnet Creek, Mystic Dunes. That was me back in the day, going to those public meetings and speaking. It's very niche. It's like bird law. It's like Charlie Kelly from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia sitting around like, I'm never going to get a case. And then a cockatiel attacks Biden. It's like your one moment, like the one area of expertise. Because look, I think you get this a lot.
Matthew McConaughey jumping off the tower with the axe to kill the dragon.
Yes.
Right? And Rain of Fire just, yes.
It's the one moment. It's like, this is it. I'm probably never going to claim specialty over anything else. This is my one case. Just let me fucking have this. So obviously I had to speak up on this because I know this area of law intimately, and it's very Florida specific. It's very statute specific. It's very tied into specific case law. And Disney was trying to frame it as a First Amendment issue. And they've been doing this for the past year.
Right.
And they've been trying to frame it that way, kind of prepare the media as a First Amendment issue. This is what they've been trying to argue. But the issue is they never had standing because all the actions that Ron DeSantis took were angled towards the district.
Mm-hmm.
And if Disney is the district, right, which they aren't, those are two separate entities. One's a private company, one is a government. Disney certified that they were separate. In fact, in a very unethical way, their chief counsel for Disney acted as special counsel for the district to certify the public nature of the district. It was an insane oversight, but probably just because they were used to controlling everything for so long.
Right.
They just looked past it.
I own everything. Everything.
You don't own me, Mickey, but I definitely have a hold on you. Dance, Mouse, dance.
I don't understand.
You will, Mouse. You will.
But now when people are looking at it, and I'm looking back and I'm like, holy shit, this guy's on the line saying this, that is called securities fraud. When you offer these bonds and you say these are government bonds, they're tax-free, they have all of the benefits at a lower interest rate, right? They're considered more secure. And when the IRS can come back and say, those aren't, the bondholders can call them for that purpose. When liens can get placed on Disney property, yeah, it's a big deal. It was very clear. It was like, you shall deliver all property owners notice. And it's like, it's very clear they didn't do that. Extremely clear they didn't do that. So because of that, and also, by the way, we have really strong sunshine laws. They failed to turn over their previous government communications. They're actually hiding those, which is also a separate violation and can end up being criminal action against Disney for scuttling those. That's separate. Our AG is looking into that. But that being said, so these things aren't valid. So that's why they filed the state case. And the state case has the proper parties. It's just the district, no DeSantis. DeSantis is not involved in that. It's the district versus Disney. So that's going to be the first case to go. That's a state law case. All of this stuff is state law. So this is, interpreting Florida statutes. And that's a preliminary issue. So I was talking with Gosney. He's very convinced as well. The federal case is going to be put on hold till they resolve the state case, because without that, they have no standing, period. So the whole thing would be moot. I did see the shout out. It's not a super chat, but I do want to star this because I did see Barnes give me a shout out. Yeah, I messaged Viva and I got a message Barnes too as well, saying, hey, I'm happy to come on and talk with those guys, but appreciate the shout outs, appreciate the love everybody's been giving me.
Then we have Disney versus DeSantis. That Legal Mindset has done some great breakdowns on that because his expertise happens to be in the exact very rare, unusual area that concerns that litigation.
And acknowledging on this issue, because
isn't it great though? How did this gift get given?
Well, here's the thing, Steve, and people who know me here know that I don't say that I'm a subject matter expert on things I'm not a subject matter expert on. I'll comment. I'll give you my opinion. I have no shame giving you my opinion.
Usually you're just getting by on your looks.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just getting by on the swoop and the and the flex. But that being said, I'm just giving, most of what I give is my take as an attorney who has, is looking at it from a constitutional standpoint, giving my take, giving a business take, giving a wider perspective. But this is actually my subject area. And it's so random. I just was thinking about that. I'm like, what were the chances of this coming up? It is literally zero, because there's usually no litigation in this area of law. It's very uncontroversial. It's just like kind of going on in the background. Your pipes and your pavement are getting laid, right? It's only now that this comes out, and I'm like, what the fuck are these people talking about? They know absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
about
I know.
This area
You are really anybody this is, you are just in the sun because this is your moment in time.
Yeah.
And I will say, I did civil litigation, I did real property litigation, probate litigation. When I hear you speak on this, you know exactly what you're talking about. You are right in the middle of it, and you're the kind of guy. Like if I was on the litigator side, I'd be say, okay, now Andrew, so tell me explain this to me so I can translate it for the
Yes.
jury, right?
And by the way, that's what I did. So I would represent these districts, and we'd have the HOA that would say, for example, in Celebration, I'll use Celebration for example. The Celebration Homeowners Association has very specific aesthetic guidelines.
Oh, you think?
And they have very
Jeez.
specific signage. That's a legacy from Disney
Yeah.
in the Celebration Company in their covenants. They have very specific signage. They would always try to force us as the government to adopt their signage. And I repeatedly had these fights with Disney, with these people, specifically Reedy Creek Disney, saying, F you, we are a government. We do not have to follow your aesthetic guidelines. We don't have to make it look all Mickey and magical. We need to put up a sign. It needs to say the road's name. That's about it. Get bent. And
Why don't you take a little pixie dust and throw it up there and make it happen?
I had to drop that so many times. It was drilled into my head. So to me, this is common sense. This is like established Florida law. It's not even up for debate.